All right, just to introduce ourselves, I am Christopher Athens from the Technology Training Team, and I am joined by Kimberlyn Niarco and Gio Tuzo, my colleagues on the Technology Training Team as well. We are the Adobe Spark team, and we'll be your trainers today. So we're going to start with a little short warm-up activity, just to give us a frame or a mindset, excuse me, for using ways to use Adobe Spark instructionally in the classroom. So we're going to ask, what techniques do you use to help your students demonstrate understanding of new vocabulary words? Once you have an answer formulated in your mind, click on the chat bubble icon if you have not already, and share your response at the bottom of the screen. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Again, the question, what techniques do you use to help your students demonstrate understanding of new vocabulary? And you can feel free to place those answers in the chat. Okay, great. Seeing some answers rolling in. The Frayer model, see webs, vocabulary and context, Venn diagrams, writing sentences and drawing pictures. Okay, great. So we do see a lot of graphic-based answers, which is nice, especially for our visual learners. And we'll end up focusing on some ways during our session that you can use Adobe Spark to help students understand both vocabulary and other content basics. So what is Adobe Spark? It is a graphic design program that allows users to easily create professional looking products. There are three components to Adobe Spark. There's the Adobe Spark Post, which basically creates graphics, things like posters, picture cards, flyers, and other graphics along those lines. There's also the video component, which allows basically users to create videos using a combination of their own content as well as Adobe Spark content. And then there's also the Adobe Spark page component, which basically allows the creation of Adobe-based websites. Now, we'll just be focusing on the post components today, but as the months and weeks pass, and eventually we'll offer training for both video and page. But again, today we'll be focusing on post. So we're going to start by logging into Adobe Spark. All right, I am going to show on my screen how to log in. You will be able to log in via Clever. We have noticed that in some instances, depending on maybe how long you've been in the district or if you've changed schools or other information, that you may not be able to log in via Clever, but we will talk about an alternate way to sign in case you have any issues. So I'm going to go here and open a new tab on my web browser, and I'm going to go to Clever. Now, I'm just going to type in clever.pgcps.org. You're welcome to do it that way, or you could visit the staff portal, click on the Applications tab, and go down to Clever as well. But this is just the easiest and most direct route for me. So I'm going to click here to log in with Active Directory, enter my login information. I don't need the at pgcps.org right there. Enter my password, and I'm going to choose login as a teacher. All right, so all classroom teachers should be able to log in via Clever, okay, and students should be able to do that as well. So what I'm going to do here, now that I'm in Clever, I'm going to scroll down my screen until I find the Adobe Spark icon, which you should see. You may need to scroll depending on how you have your landing page organized. If you pinned anything in the past or anything like that, it may be in a different place. But you're going to scroll down until you see Adobe Spark Google Email. I'm going to click that icon. All right. It is going to ask me to sign in. Now, you want to be very careful to not sign in with the Adobe ID or Google or anything else. You want to make sure that you sign in with your enterprise ID, which says company or school account. Right, I'm going to click there. It's going to tell me that it is redirecting me to sign in. Now, I've signed in before, so it went straight for me. You could be prompted to enter your PGCPS credentials again, but basically you're going to enter the same credentials that you would use to log into your email or all of our or any of our other PGCPS programs. Okay. Now, just another way in case anyone did have any issues with logging in, you can also go to spark.adobe.com, hit enter, and it will take me to the same place. And actually, let me log out so you're able to see what that login process looks like. It'll basically be the same thing, but again, you want to make sure that you select Enterprise ID in order to log in. And I clicked the wrong thing. Please forgive me. All over the place. Home here. But again, you'll click the Enterprise ID. I'm having trouble bringing it up and signing out for some reason. But once you click that Enterprise ID, you'll be able to get that information up. You should be able to log in. All right, I'm going to jump back over here to the presentation. Just to review, again, you'll log in with your Clever account, enter your information into Clever, choose the Adobe Spark icon, click Update Login, enter your PGCPS credentials. Very important when you get to that landing screen, especially if you could not log in through Clever and you went the spark.adobe route, please make sure that you do not click anything like continue with Google, or we know that that works for some other applications, but it will not work for this one. You do need to click log in with your school account and enter your PGCPS credentials. And then when you get to that next landing screen, again, do not click the continue with Google. You're going to enter your credentials as though it was not there. Make sure that you click company or school account. And again, you'll be prompted to enter your credentials, and that should log you in. Okay? And now we'll actually go in to navigate through Spark. And I am going to just switch to my colleague here. Give me one moment.
All right, so hopefully everyone can see the screen. If one of my colleagues can just confirm for me everything looks good on your end, we'll get going here. So we asked a question earlier about content vocabulary. Because it's a common thread across all of our content areas and grade levels, we all sort of have vocabulary, and that's a great way to get started with Spark. We see that a lot of people actually responded. They used the Frayer model. So we do have a sample here of the Frayer model, sometimes called a four-square strategy for understanding new vocabulary, where the word is in the middle. And then there's sort of four boxes around that where you can put different things in there depending on your grade level, depending on the content area, and your student needs and skills. So based on this sort of idea, this is what we're going to use today as our sample. And we do want you to sort of work along with us today, okay? So as we work, you're going to be working in Spark, making sure that you can hear in the background our voices. We're talking you through some things. And when you need to look at the screen in WebEx, we'll be modeling in Adobe what you're seeing, okay? But we do hope that you're able to follow along and give it a try. And if at any point you need help, remember, we've got some colleagues here, my teammates in the chat, that will be able to address your questions, okay? So we're going to make a 4-square vocabulary product, a graphic, like the one you see on your screen. So here's an example for the word infuse. We've included a synonym, we've included an image, we've used it in a sentence, and we've provided a definition, okay? You see it looks really great. The fonts look nice, the graphics are high quality, the images are nice, and the great thing about Adobe Spark is that everything in here is actually already approved for copyright licensing. You and your students do not have to worry about it. It's already done. And when you use these things, Adobe automatically assigns the credit for the copyright for the original ownership of the images, or if you're in video, you know, the music rights, all of that. So that's a really nice piece that I personally find a lot of value in. So let's hop over to Spark and get started. We want to make a vocabulary 4-square, and your home screen may look slightly different the very first time that you log into Spark. That's okay. They have a lot of templates here you see automatically that I can start with. I'm going to select View All. And so here we see several categories. We see All, we see Graphics, which is going to be your post, Adobe Spark post. Then we have web pages and videos. And there are thousands of templates already in here, but we're going to work with graphics today. And you see there's things already formatted perfectly to fit social media platforms, for print, for ads, all types of things. But I can actually just type in a term and it will look for something that matches that. So I'll just start typing in vocabulary. And you can see it already brings up a bunch of templates. So even for our youngest students, A is for ant, very simple graphics here that our littles could do. And there are apps, by the way, for these. It does work on iPads and mobile devices. You can download the apps at the App Store, the Google Play Store. If I don't like any of these, I can look for something else. And you always have the option of starting from scratch. So in the top right-hand corner here, I have the plus sign. And if I click here, flyer, it's actually going to start me from scratch, okay? If you'd like to choose from a template, go ahead and find a template that you like and click on it. This can be very useful for your students. Many students have difficulty getting started when they have a blank space like this. The nice thing is you see here, I still have the options to choose from a template over here if there's something, if I am having that difficulty getting started, okay? So I'll just select a template here to get started with and click Create. And that's going to go ahead and load my template. Okay. So let's talk about some of the things you want to make sure that you stress with your students. One of the first things is making sure to give it a title. Adobe is going to call everything my post, my post, my post, my post. So one of the first things I do is come up here and click where it says my post to change my title. And I'll just say this is vocabulary 4-square. Okay. All right, so now I have a title for my graphic. On the right-hand side, you'll notice your editing tools, and we're going to work our way down those, but I am going to skip down right away the first one to layout. Once I click on layout, you'll notice just to the left of that, my options change here. Here I get different choices for the type of layout. There's some suggestions here. I kind of like this 9-square one. And if I click it, it will put that in there. But I can keep scrolling down to find any particular format that I might like. Maybe I'll try that one. And you see it mixes up the colors and things. I have the options to increase borders and cells, to move the content with the layout. So when I change things, the content will go with it or stay in place, okay? So the first thing there would be changing the layout if I don't particularly like the design that's there, okay? Additionally, just above layout are colors. Now these are the colors that it came with, and you can see there's tons and tons of palettes in there, lots of different ones to choose from. So I'll just pick another one randomly, and you see it automatically changes it. If I decide I don't like it, I can easily click the undo button, or I can just select on another template, palette template, okay? So those are really easy changes. A couple of cool things to point out. This is one of my favorite things. You see here we have two circular buttons. On the right, we have the arrows for shuffle. And when I click that, it takes all the colors in the palette and randomly shuffles them around on the graphic. But then if I click on the circle with the lines that says change color, it actually brings up my color options. And this is really cool because this actually allows me to color match anything on the screen and to pick my own particular colors. So for those of you who are used to using hex or RGB codes, you can go ahead and do that here. You can use any color that you like, okay, in the rainbow. So that's a nice option. All right, so one of the nice things is to start editing, all I need to do is click in a space. So here I've clicked on this text, and I have the pencil, which will allow me to edit it. I have the trash can, which will allow me to delete it. And I have the plus icon, which will duplicate it for me, okay? So here I can click on edit, or I can double click and then type in whatever my vocabulary word is. And I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with infuse for now, okay? And then now my word is in there, it's kind of small. So I might just drag it to make it larger, so that it's easier to read, okay? You can also use your arrow keys, as I'm doing right now. You see it moves just ever so slightly, which I really love for getting things just quite right, okay? So now let's say I want to get rid of this text. I can just click on it and select delete. I can do that for any number of things in here. For the text, these are actually icons, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you'll notice when I selected the icon, now I have delete, duplicate, and the info, which is that information I was telling you about before about copyright. Everything is already in here. You don't have to worry about it. It is ready to go, okay? So I'll just delete some of this stuff here and give myself a little bit more space to work to build what it is I want here for my vocabulary. So I need a picture, okay? I've got my word. So in this green, light green box here, the lime, I want to add a picture. So on my right-hand side, I'm gonna click on the add button. And here I see different things that I can add. I can add text, I can add a photo, an icon, or a logo. The logo is part of the premium branding, which is really nice. You can add your school mascot. If you have your Bitmoji, you want to make a logo, you could add that in here, right? Any number of things. You have one primary logo for branding, but you can add additional logos. So that is something here at T3 that we do use. But right now I need a photo. So I'm going to click on photo. And I do have the option to upload a photo, or I can look for free photos. I can pull from my Google Drive, number of options here. We would make sure that we stress with students when they're uploading photos that they're not just taking someone else's work from the internet, because they can search right in here for images rather than going to Google and running into copyright issues. They can safely search in here. But if they wanted to upload, let's say they had a photo of their family for the beginning of the school year, you were going to teach children teach your students how to use this tool, you could start with an introductory assignment about who they are, right? They might want to include a picture of themselves or their pet or their family, and they could upload that in here, of course, with appropriate permission. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a free photo. Infuse didn't quite give me what I need. You see the drop-down arrow gives me two options when I select that. Right now it's using Unsplash, but I can switch to Pixabay and see if Pixabay has some options. Okay, and I like these better. So I have some better options here. Kind of like this picture. So I'll select the picture by clicking on it. And then I have two options. I can pin it to the background, or I can move it freely. If I pin it to the background, it's going to fit it in the size of the box or the designated space that it's in. And you can still make adjustments and you can change it. Personally, I like the move freely option. So I'm going to go ahead and select move freely. And now I have my picture there. And I actually think because of the picture I chose, I'll put it in on this side because it matches the space better. Okay. So now I have my picture for Infuse. Now I can add my definition. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to come down here to the green words at the bottom and click there to edit that. And let me come back here and copy this definition. Whoop. So, tea, herbs, etc. Okay. All right. And so now I have my sentence here, and you'll notice, because I'm working on text now, that I have text formatting options in the box on the right-hand side. So here I can see the primary layout for this font and the font family. I can change that if I want. I can come here and select any number of fonts that are in there. I can also change the alignment. I can capitalize and fit it. I can change the size. Here, I can change the letter spacing if I'd like it to be a little more spaced out. The opacity, the order, all of those things, right? I can also change on the right, all the way to the right. I can change the color, which I am going to do. I'll go with this dark color because I'm actually going to move this. Actually, let me go with the light color. I want to move it here. And you'll notice when I drag it, it's going to adjust the size as I drag it to fit the space. Okay. All right. Now, there are some additional text options on the right in addition to color. And again, I can do any color in the rainbow, any color available. I can take a look at the shapes. And so there are different shapes that I could choose from for this particular text. We have effects. I can add a shadow or a dotted line or cutout. And then last is style. And I don't know about you, but my students absolutely love this. It's like a little magical wheel. So here we have a circle with a button, and when you click and drag that button, you'll notice that my font changes. The color and the style automatically change, and I just keep turning the little magical wheel or dial until I find one that I like. And I can keep going round and round, and it's going to keep going through lots of different ones. And this is really cool for kids. The students really enjoy this because they don't always know what font they want, what color they want, what style they want. And here it sort of takes that, it gives them the ability to do that without having to click through every single font, click through every single color. It does some of the work for them so that it matches the style they've already chosen and looks good. So that's a cool little feature there that I definitely enjoy and my students enjoy. So I am going to pause for a moment and check in with the chat to see how things are going, see if there's or if there are any questions that we need to address. And Kimberlyn or Chris, I know you've sort of been monitoring the chat, so if you can feel free to unmute and jump in and let me know if there's anything that we need to address before moving on.
Sure. Hey, Gina. Everybody's been working along so well, which is awesome. They are a big fan of that text wheel that you showed, which is a really helpful element in Adobe Spark. One of the
So there was some commentary about giving image rights, for the person that created them. Spark will actually do that for you. If you use an Adobe Spark image, that Spark will actually enter credit for the author or for the owner of that image as well, just so everyone's aware.
All right, awesome. Okay, hopefully everybody's been able to get in and start playing. It's a pretty quick and easy tool to use, really. And I really love, especially now that we know we're going to be all virtual at the start of school, I really love the idea of introducing students to these 3 Spark tools as a way of getting to know the students. So there's sort of an unlimited amount of ways that we can use these tools, and you'll notice when you have some time to play around with the other 2 parts of Spark, which are the page for web page design and the video, that they're both similarly easy to use. So they're really kind of empowering to move students away from consumption to really being creators. They really get to show who they are. They really get to be in control of their work. So, and I really love the idea of starting the school year with this because they'll be learning how to use the tool, but they'll also be building community and learning about who they are and showing each other who they are and getting to know you and vice versa. So it's really a great tool for that. Yes, the session will be recorded and it will be placed on our website. We already have a recording of one of our prior webinars available on our website. So hopefully your screen will unfreeze. I'm not actually moving anything right now, so I will jump back in though. So let's jump back in and take a look at the next thing we want to do. So I've got my word, I have my definition, I've inserted an image. Let's talk about adding some icons. So I'm going to click the plus button, and again, to bring up sort of what I refer to as the main toolbar, I just click anywhere in the gray area. If I click inside of my graphic, it's going to select something within the graphic. So if I want my main tools, I just click on the gray area outside of that. So again, I'll click on the plus and we're going to select icon. And here I am looking for, let's look for a teacup. Okay, and you see it brings up lots of different images of teacups. I just have to find one that I like. I kind of like this one. And when I select it, it automatically inserts it in there. And again, you'll notice my tools have changed. Now I have formatting options for the icons. So I don't know how I'm feeling about this gray. I wonder if there's a better color. So let me click on color and see. I think I like that one better. Okay. Yeah, that looks okay. Again, if I want to get specific, I can click inside that little white circle and enter a hex code or drag and drop to change my image colors. Okay. I can also flip the image, which is kind of neat. Order, opacity, all of those things. I am going to very quickly show you the logo. So when I click the add button and select logo, you'll notice here that we have our T3 logo. I have a PGCPS logo. You can add any number of logos just by selecting the plus and then selecting the image that you want to use as your logo. So you do have to have the image saved somewhere on your computer first in order to upload it as your logo. Okay. So I'll just select the PGCPS logo, and you see it's just like any other image. I can drag and drop it anywhere I like. I can resize it as small or as large as I want. But you'll notice I don't have a lot of formatting tools because we wouldn't want to change the image color or things of that nature. But it is great. There are some branding options when it comes to logos and all of that. So looking at our main tools, we've talked about our adding options. We've added each of the following items. We've talked about our templates, which allow us to choose something to start with instead of starting from scratch. And you can search here or on the main home screen for that. Taking a look at design. When I select design, you see the first option is brandify, and that's part of building your logo. So you can upload your logo, you can choose primary colors and primary fonts that will be default for you when you're working within that branding. And you can select to do that, and it will convert your project using those pre-selected options or preferences. And then we see possible variations, which again are more templates, okay? So I have additional templates here that I could select from. We talked about, again, moving down the right-hand side, we talked about how to select different colors. And you'll notice now that my palette I selected actually has a little +1 because the teacup I slightly customized. It's not one of these main colors. It's slightly off. And because I adjusted it, you now see the +1 there, which is really cool. We did talk also about our layout, different ways that we can change our layout. Lots of options there. And then the last one is actually resize, which is kind of neat. I am in default for this one based on the template I selected. It's letter size, but you see I can change it to any of these other sizes that I like, and it's going to do the best it can to format the existing content to match the size that I select. So I'll just show you, for example, square. You see it just sort of scrunched everything in and flattened it out to try and match that orientation for the size, okay? I can do portrait, and it's more narrow now, right? So I would have to adjust my picture. But it adjusts your content for you. So this is one you can do at the end. As a word of advice, I would say not to do that with layout. You want your students to get used to selecting a layout first as much as possible, because the content doesn't always translate afterwards when you have it in there. It doesn't always translate well when you change your layout. So you want to start with layout and recommend that students start with layout. okay? So lots of options there. That's pretty much all of our formatting. It's really easy to use, really easy to do. I'm just going to pause real quick before we talk about sharing and downloading and printing and all of those options, just to see if there's anything in the chat that we need to address. So if there are any questions, please feel free. And again, Kimberlyn or Chris, feel free to jump in if I've missed anything or there's anything you want to address.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Sally was asking if you could use the tool inside of Google Slides. And yes, you are able to use that tool, as Chris answered, inside of Google Slides. What you would do is export this post, and then you would be able to upload it as an image in Google Slides. And Gina is going to talk about how to save and export and share the image that you created in a little bit.
Thank you so much, Kimberlyn. All right, so now your students and you have done all this great work. Let's talk about what to do with it, okay? So once the work is completed, we have a couple of options. We're going to go across the top right-hand corner now. The first icon that you see is the person icon. You'll notice it's only one person because I'm only one person with a plus button. And when I click on that, I can now start inviting other people to collaborate on my project with me. So I can add Kimberlyn to this project and say, send her a short message. I'll just say, hi, Kimberlyn, I'd love your feedback on this before I submit it for grading, because Kimberlyn has a great design eye, and I know she always gives me quality feedback. What this is going to do is this is going to send her an email saying that she's been invited to collaborate on this project. And let's talk a little bit about what that means, because we're very much a Google district, and we're used to the simultaneous collaboration. In Spark, however, there is not currently simultaneous collaboration. So that means right now I am in this project and working. Kimberlyn cannot go into the project while I'm in there. The other thing that it means is that Kimberlyn can make changes to my project, but they won't be reflected anywhere that the project has been shared. So if I have already sent out a link and shared this with others or posted the link somewhere, all the viewers of that link will see this version. When Kimberlyn comes in and makes changes, I have to go in and republish to approve her changes. So it's sort of nice that it gives you that little bit of layer of control to be able to sort of approve changes that other contributors make, okay? Other than that, she has the same editing rights as I have inside of this project, okay? So let's talk about the next option, which is to download. We have 3 options for download. We have, and I love this because I'm not always an expert on these files, particularly with graphics. If you hover over it, it actually tells you what it's best for. So we've got the PNG, which is best for graphics and it's high quality. We have our JPEG, which is for photos and smaller file sizes. And then our PDF, which is best for printing. So once I select the file type that I would like, I just select Start Download, and it will download the file for me, and you see that I have the file there, okay? The next option is to share, and we see the option to invite again, which you'll notice my little invite circle now has 2 people, showing that I've shared the project with someone else. And the publish option. This is what you're going to want to show your students, is this publish option. And what's really cool is it publishes directly into Classroom, which I love. So your students can build their projects right here in Adobe and then quickly and easily click this to go ahead and post it in Classroom, okay? There are other options. You can post right to social media. You could send an email. You can create a link, okay? If I select classroom, it's going to give me a pop-out. It's going to ask me which classroom do I want to put it in, and then do I want to make this an assignment, ask a question, an announcement, create material, etc., and go. Now, if I'm a student, it would ask me to pick my classroom and then select which assignment does this go with. And so they would select the assignment that it goes with. Because I'm a teacher in this classroom, I could create an assignment for students using this, maybe even a video for them that explains a project or an assignment I want them to work on, and I can post it right inside of Classroom. And you see that I do get the regular window that you would see inside of Google Classroom here to post, okay? So I also love that feature very much. All right, so that covers all of the basic functions inside of Adobe Spark Post, which again is your graphic design tool for posters, flyers, brochures, magazine covers. I've seen projects where people have done, students design book covers, where students create top 10 lists or things of that nature. So we're really only limited to our own creativity with using this tool. I am going to click here where on the left-hand side where you see the SP post. When I go there and select it, you see it turns to a home button. I am going to return home and take a look at a few things here on our home page. So back on our home page, we have the templates across the top here. On the left-hand side, we've got our plus button to get started creating a new project. If I scroll down, you'll see here are all of my recent projects that I have. I can view all my projects, or I can scroll through them like this. Then we have templates specifically for education, which is new from Adobe and really cool. They have templates there that have been created by teachers and targeted directly for the demands and the needs of teachers and students. If I, back on the left-hand side, under Home, select Projects, now I have some different options. I have all of my projects here, but I also have Shared with You. So just like I shared my post with Kimberlyn, this is the section that shows me things that have been shared with me, different projects that have been shared. And it does say you can see whether it's a video, whether it's a post or a site, a page. Each of those things is there. You'll notice that you also see views there and hearts there for people that have given how many people have looked at the project, how many people have loved the project. And when I hover over it, I have two things here. The first is edit. So I can go in and click the pencil and begin editing that particular project. Remembering that I'm not the owner, so I can't publish the changes. The owner would have to publish the changes. But I also have these three dots, which allow me to share the project with others, duplicate, rename, or leave and remove myself from the project. And I really love the duplicate option because many times people share things and, you know, rather than change their work, I prefer to make a copy for myself so they have their original work. And then I have a copy that I can own and publish and make changes to as I see fit, okay? And then there's also a recent tab for recent projects that you've been working on. And then the last option on the left is brands. And this is where you can come to start building in your branding, selecting the colors and the fonts and logo for your preferences, okay? I do want to point out a couple of other things while we're here. Along the top, we have the notifications bell, and then your account information. You want to make sure that when you're signed in, it says PGCPS. You'll notice it says Spark Premium for Education, because you can have a Spark account in your personal email, you can do that. It will be very similar, but it will not be the premium account. And then you've got our waffle or the 9 boxes here. You actually have access to a number of apps here through Adobe Spark. And if we select View All Apps, it's going to show you all of the apps which you actually can download to your own device, to your own computer, okay? So some of them, if it says Learn More, that may not be available because it's paid or premium content, but there are a few things here, a number of things that are available to us, okay? All right. So we hope you've been able to make a project. We do want to share with you some really great work that has been done. So once you go to our Webinar Wednesday webpage or our Adobe Spark page from the main T3 website, inside of our presentation on this slide, if you click on the folder for instructional Spark posts, it's actually a shared folder where we're trying to gather samples of all of the great work that you and your students are doing using these tools. We really want to promote this. So inside of here, you actually see there's lots of different examples, and I'll just do sort of a preview here of some of the other. This was a brand, a logo made. This was a banner for, I don't remember if it was Google Classroom or web page, things that describe myself. Okay, a couple of different things. This is vocabulary. So we do have some of those in there. We also have the visual arts literacy task. And we have some links in here to student work and teacher to student work. And these are great. Some of them are videos, but I'm going to go to a couple of the pages because this is just beautiful work by students. So here we have a student artist bio, their student statement, okay? You can see how this is actually, Adobe refers to this as a glide show instead of a slideshow. It's kind of a cross between a slideshow and a web page, which is really cool. And this was the literacy task where they had to analyze a piece of artwork. And so here is the piece of artwork. And then the student's analysis underneath it. Okay. So tasks that we might have students traditionally do in another way are easily adjusted and easily accommodated into this. I love this one. Here's another analysis. The artwork is called Squeeze. And it's just so much more visually appealing, so much more appealing for me to read. I really like this quite a lot. But the other benefit is this actually can become part of a student portfolio of their work. And now their work is here digitally for them to build a portfolio and gather their work together. So again, this is in the folder. Feel free to add to any of this. We'd love to see more great student work that we can start promoting out there as we let everyone know all the great work that we're doing in PGCPS this school year. So if you run into issues where you don't have access for some reason, please email the team and let us know. We will be happy to make sure that you have that access for what you need. We also want to point out the Adobe Exchange. So we do have the link here. Hopefully, if they haven't already, one of my colleagues can drop this in the chat. Drop it in the chat. And the Adobe Exchange is great. Here you can come and find a number of different types of resources. So they have self-paced courses that you can enroll in. They have featured teaching resources. They have pre-built lessons that you can use that already have, like, here's a brand and style guide project, a logo design project, all sorts of things. You do want to, I'll select browse. I can look by grade level. I can look by content area, by age, by whether I want it to be just for Spark, whether I want it to be any number of categories to narrow down there. So there's a lot of really great ideas in here. They have been working, Adobe's been working to add to this, and they actually just started something called, recently launched, the Adobe Creative Educator. It's a community, and you can get a certificate in that and become a creative innovator for Adobe as you work with your students and really empower students to become creators and take more ownership over their work and what it is that they do, okay? So I would love to hear some ideas from you all in the chat about how you can get started using this with your students, or how you might be able to use this to sort of introduce your students to each other and yourself, and how you see yourself using this with students. And again, Chris and Kimberlyn, if there's anything from the chat that you want to touch on, please let me know.
Sure. So I was just having a conversation, Chris and I, with Immaculate. She was asking about creating a video in Adobe. We are planning presentations in the future, so we'd love to see you again in the future for our video presentation. But in the meantime, if you check out that Adobe edX link, then there's lots of inspiration on videos. And if you want to play around with it, the same way that you went into Adobe Spark and chose Post, you can choose video and play around with the features of that until our next training session.
Thanks so much, Kimberlyn. All right, so we do hope that you find these tools to be useful for you and your students. This does conclude today's session. As Kimberlyn mentioned, we will be having sessions in the future specifically geared for each of the two other portions. That would be Adobe Spark Page, which is sort of the website or glide show, as well as Adobe Spark Video, which is the video component. So please let us know if we can be of any further assistance with this tool. Reach out to our team. You can email t3@pgcps.org if you have any kinds of questions or need any assistance. We also want to remind you that every school has an assigned T3 trainer that can be found on our T3 website.
And you all, I'm sorry, Gina, to interrupt. Don't forget to fill out the form we posted for attendance.
Thank you so much. I believe Kimberlyn has put the link in there for the attendance form. You want to make sure that you complete that form so that we can get your attendance marks for today's session. We thank you so much for joining us. We know that it's summer and you did not have to be here, but we appreciate you being here and giving us a little bit of your time. We hope that you found it useful, that you're staying cool and safe, and we look forward to seeing you at our next session. We'll stay on for a few more minutes just in case there are any questions or comments that we need to address. Please feel free to put those in the chat and remain muted as you leave the session. Thank you so much, everyone.